I love Mario sports games, and I also love character rosters. So today I wanted to take a look at 30 different Mario sports games and rank each of their character rosters on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being an absolute garbage character roster, and 10 being the best of the best possible character rosters you can have in any video game ever. So first up, I'm going to go through the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. This one's going to be very interesting. First up is the first one in 2008, and this one had the smallest character roster out of any of the Olympic Games. It's got your core characters. You got Mario, Luigi, of course, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, Bowser, Wario, Waluigi. No Donkey Kong in this one. Shockingly, this was the first Olympic Games, and they also got your core Sonic characters as well. No one really surprising. I think I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. It could be improved. Next up is the Vancouver 2010 Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games. This was the first Winter Games that they released, only 2 years after they released the Summer Olympics, and this one expanded the roster by 4 characters. We got DK and Bowser Jr. from the Mario side, and we got Silver the Hedgehog in Metal Sonic from the Sonic series. That is probably 2 of the greatest Sonic characters you could have added to this roster, but I might as well rank this game, the London 2012 game, and the Sochi 2014 game all at the same time because they all have the same roster. Now, theoretically, I could rank the London and the Sochi ones just a point lower because they are updated games, so you think they would add more characters, but I'm just going to throw them all into once. It's all just the same roster. Let me give it a 5 out of 10. It's nothing too crazy. Like, after 3 games of playing with all the same 20 characters, it gets a little stale, but the additions they did add from the original 16 in the original game were stellar. Next up is the Rio 2016 Olympics, and this is the only game where the version on console and handheld had different character rosters, so I gotta rank them differently. This one's the 3DS version, and it has a stronger character roster than the Wii U. Look at this, 40 plus characters if you include the Mii as well, but 40. You got 20 Mario characters and 20 Sonic characters. Now, I've never played the 3DS version of the Olympic Games simply because I had the Wii U, and I thought the Wii U was superior in terms of having the Olympic Games on there. I don't know if these guest characters can be used in every event or if they work like the Wii U where you can only use them in a specific event. So regardless, this character roster is still very solid. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. This is super strong. Now, the Wii U Mario and Sonic 2016 Olympics was kind of my bread and butter. I really enjoyed this game on the Wii U when it came out. It was a lot of fun. It had so much character. But I mean, look at this. There are so many special guest characters that would have been incredible to play with, but they were all exclusive to one event. The only characters that you can play with every event are the same 20 characters that were available in the previous Olympic Games all the way up until the original. These are the new characters, the guests. I had to, edit them out to make them all fit one screen, but regardless, they are part of the roster. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a strong roster. They got some really cool characters in here. Just such a shame that they were only available in one event. And finally, we have Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. And this has the same thing as the 3DS and the Wii U version where they have the same 20 characters that have been around since Vancouver 2010, but then a whole host of guest characters, a lot of them brought back from Rio, but we got a couple of newcomers. Look at this roster. If this were the case and you can play as all these characters in all the events, this has the potential to be one of the greatest rosters in any Mario/Sonic game ever. A lot of these characters you can only play in one event, and it's so sad. I'm still gonna give this an 8 out of 10. They have a strong cast of characters regardless, and I really enjoy playing this game and playing these guest characters whenever I get a chance to. Next up, we're gonna get into the Mario Golf series. First up is Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color. Now, this is a very interesting game because there's actually not a lot of characters at all. You have 3 Mario characters to choose from, Mario, Luigi, and Wario, and then you get a bunch of human characters. It's still an interesting roster. You got some characters like Genius all the way on the right. He's the only one I can remember from Heart. You got Kid up top, and then a couple of characters that you would choose in your story mode. So not all the default characters are playable in exhibition mode. I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10 though. It's the Game Boy Color. It was very disadvantaged. There's not a lot you can do with it, and there's other games in the future that just have more human characters and more Mario characters. Next up is Mario Golf 64. This one has kind of a soft spot in my heart. I really do like the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis games on the N64. They kind of preceded the GameCube ones and brought that charm into the series that we needed for these Mario Golf games. So this is a solid roster as well. You'll see there's 4 empty spots on the bottoms. Those are all human characters from the Game Boy. These are the default set of characters you'll get if you play the Switch Online version of this game, and it's still a strong roster. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. Like, Metal Mario Mario for me carries. I love Metal Mario, and the beautiful thing about this roster too is that every single character it's kind of like Smash Bros 64. You get 3 different color combinations, so you can rock 4 different characters in one character. Metal Mario can turn into a blue, an orange, and a gold Metal Mario, and so you can practically play as Gold Mario in this game, and I love that. That's incredible. Mario Golf Advance Tour. This is an interesting one as well. I'm really hoping that this one comes out on the Game Boy Advance Switch Online at some point, because I hear it's got an amazing RPG scene, and I would love to stream that at some point in time. But streams aside, this roster is not too bad. It's just when I play Mario Golf Toadstool Tour so much and trying to change into this game, that's just a little bit disappointing. You got all these human characters on the bottom that, I'll be honest, I don't know the names of any of them. Your basic Mario characters up top, and then you got the 2 characters that are transferable to Mario Golf Toadstool Tour as well. Neil and Ella, those are the 2 of them that just came to mind. They're okay. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. It's a little bit on the weaker side. Again, Game Boy Advance, less processing power. Probably just wanted to give more human characters the shine, because it is an RPG after all. You know, this had to be split between Mario and human characters. It's a not bad roster. It's okay, just fine. Now, next up, we're gonna jump all the way to the Switch version of the game. We'll get to the other ones, don't you worry, but I want to talk about Super Rush as well. This one's pretty strong. Look at this roster. This one also had the problem where it had an okay roster at launch, but then just decided to update characters as time added on and on. Like, every character from Toadette to Shy Guy on the bottom of that roster were not available. That's why we have an odd number of spots, because where Toadette and Ninja are on this character roster is where the me slot and the random option were, and it filled a completely even square. But now we just have an odd number of spaces. We could have had at least one more DLC character, but you know, it's completely fine. The game is old now. I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10. We got a strong character roster for the most part, like Chargin' Chuck, King Babam, like the obscure characters. That's kind of my bread and butter. I love seeing obscure characters in Mario games, especially Mario sports games, because you get to play these characters like only in that game and not any other game. So the more obscure characters we get in these games, the better. We got characters like Ninja, Chargin' Chuck, even Wiggler, who isn't playable much outside of like Mario Kart 7 and Tour, and now 8 Deluxe. King Babam, Pauline's only playable in like a couple of sports games as well, including Mario Kart, but pretty strong roster. It could be better though, so 6 out of 10. Now, I don't know if I'm talking nostalgia here, but Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, I love this character roster, and it's really simply because of the 4 unlockables. These might be some of the strongest unlockable characters in the history of any Mario sports game. I mean, look at this. You get Bowser Jr., Boo, Shadow Mario, and Petey Piranha. Like, that is incredible. Take those 4 characters out, and it is just your super basic Mario game. And it's fine. But add those 4 in, and there's just so much character. There's so much life. It gives the game its own identity. There is no other game. This is the only game where you can play as Shadow Mario. So who do I main in this game? Of course, it's got to be Shadow Mario. I got to give the man the love he deserves. If I'm playing a game that has a character that you can't play as in any other game, you know I got to play as that character. So I'm giving the love to Shadow Mario. I do wish they brought back the different colored skins that they had in Mario Golf 64. That would have been huge, just to see what other colors of Shadow Mario. That would have been incredible. Petey Piranha's in this game. I think he made his playable debut in this one because this game came out before Double Dash. Like, a strong set of unlockables carries this roster. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10 on this one. It's a little bit lacking in terms of the numbers. We only got 16 characters, 18 if you count Neil and Ella down here. I just had to Photoshop them in, being the Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color transfer. Next up is Mario Golf World Tour on the 3DS. Now, I don't know about you guys, if you guys have played this game. I love this game. This one's incredible in my opinion. The DLC characters, again, go crazy. Gold Mario, Toadette, Nabbit, and Rosalina. If you bought that DLC pack, it was worth it. Like, getting Gold Mario, getting coins every time you hit the ball. I still remember that gimmick. It was huge, and like, these characters were amazing. But let's not skimp out the main roster. You got Bowser Jr., Diddy Kong, Boo, Kamek, Paratroopa, and Birdo. I mean, that's a strong roster. When you get a chance to play as someone like Gold Mario or Paratroopa or Kamek, like, you're gonna have to give these characters the go when it comes to this game. I'm also gonna give this a 7 out of 10. It has more characters than Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, but Gold Mario is really the only one here for me that kind of carries the roster. So it's not super strong. I do like a lot of these DLC and unlockable characters though. All right, so next up is Mobile Golf. This is the last game we'll be talking about. It's a Japanese exclusive golf game. I wanted to bring this one in because Mario's in as well. Look at him, Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and that's actually Form and Spike on the bottom right there. So that's kind of cool that he got a playable appearance as well. But you also got your classic characters that were also in the Game Boy Color version of the game. You got Kid over there on the bottom left. You got Gene Russ over there. There's a couple of those characters that returned from the other Game Boy Color version of the game. So if you played both versions, it'll be cool to see those characters make a reappearance. Though I wish they had more Mario characters to balance it out. I'm not going to complain. This game's not going to come overseas anytime soon. And there's better Mario Golf games out there. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10. It's not too bad, but it could be better. Now let's talk about Mario Tennis. First up, of course, we got to get this one out of the way. It's Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy. And this one's just a 2 out of 10 for me. Like, Donkey Kong Jr. is the only reason saving this from a 1 out of 10. And it's kind of cool that they had Donkey Kong Jr. in the Virtual Boy game, Mario Tennis. That's kind of cool. But the rest of your mainstays are in pretty playable in pretty much every game. This is basically Super Mario Kart's roster except Bowser. Why they left Bowser out of this roster is shocking to me. I will never understand. But hey, Donkey Kong Jr. gets another chance to shine in red and black. But, you know, it's fine. Now to talk about a game that might just be as bad as that one, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash on the Wii U. Man, what could have been? This one's interesting. It's only got 15 or 16 characters if you count the Sprixie Princess, which this is her only playable appearance in a Mario game. Anytime I would ever play this game, I would play as Sprixie Princess, and I've only played it once the day it came out for 6 hours, and I've never touched it again. This is a 4 out of 10 roster. Like, it's practically your mainstays. There's no one super special here. Dry Bowser's a little obscure, but the Sprixie Princess, I don't know if anyone was really dying to play as the Sprixie Princess, but that might just not be me. That might just be me. I don't know. The other characters are cool, but again, they're just your mainstays, so this doesn't really innovate as a roster for me. Now for perhaps one of the largest rosters that is shocking, Mario Tennis Power Tour. There are 40 characters in this game, but only 6 of them are Mario characters. All the way on the far left, Mario, Peach, Luigi, Waluigi, DK, and Bowser. Like, what happened to Wario? If anything, I'm a bit more excited to play this game than Mario Golf Advanced Tour in terms of the RPG, just because I feel like there's gonna be a lot more characters that I could get a chance to introduce myself to and to see how they all intertwine in the main story. And it seems like this is just a long grind to try and do better in tennis than these guys and to just level up in the tournament or play character matches against them. No Wario, but there's Waluigi. That would never not be funny. This is a 6 out of 10 simply because of pure quantity. Next up is Mario Tennis Open, and again, in advance, I apologize for the low quality character roster, but I mean, this is the best I can do. They really had no screenshots of the character roster in game, but this is what we were dealt with. There were so many characters that were in game, but then the strangest way to unlock all the different colored Yoshis and Metal Mario, you needed to scan QR codes. It was the weirdest thing ever. I remember it vividly. Just trying to scan like, oh, you can play as Metal Mario. You can play as all these Yoshis and they have different stats. The different colored Yoshis, like I believe yellow Yoshi was a technique and like red Yoshi was power. It was so bizarre. But I kind of loved it because you also got pretty obscure characters. I actually like Baby Mario in Mario Tennis because he was available in Mario Tennis 64, which we'll talk about later. So it's it was him bringing back to the Mario Tennis series. But you also got Luma. I understand they didn't have Rosalina because of time constraints, so they replaced her with Luma real quick. But Luma here is really cool. Dry Bowser is kind of nice. And then Metal Mario, again, carries. I'm going 7 out of 10 here. Next up, Mario Tennis Aces. Now, this is the most underrated game in terms of rosters, in my opinion. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Look at all the damage that the DLC characters did to boost up this game's character roster. If you guys remember that the base game roster was until the row that had Yoshi through Chain Chomp. We only had 16 characters at launch. We almost doubled that roster in a year when Nintendo dropped each character like one by one every month after the game came out. And man, they added some huge characters. Blooper hadn't been playable since Mario Party 8. Diddy Kong, not playable in many sports games. Birdo, Paratroopa, Shy Guy Petey Piranha making his return. He was a boss in this game, but he comes back as a playable character after being playable in Power Tennis, which we'll get to soon enough. Luma returns after Open. Boom Boom makes his sole playable appearance. This is the only game you can play as Boom Boom in. Pauline is in, making her first playable appearance in this game, which was incredible. Dry Bones was awesome, and Kamek, of course, but then Dry Bowser and fire Piranha Plant. This was during all the hype where we were like, ah ha ha, funny, Piranha Plant is going to be a playable character in Smash Bros. But we got access to fire Piranha Plant a couple months later. And also, let's not, shortchange the additions of Spike and Chain Chomp in the default roster. Those were pretty cool. Chain Chomp being revealed as a default character was mind-blowing. So this is a 9 out of 10 roster. Incredible. I just wish this game was better. Next up, oh boy, this one, this one's gonna be great. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. Mario Tennis 64. You guys see him on the top right. I mean, that's my dude. That's my man. Donkey Kong Jr. in 3D. This is the only time you can play as Donkey Kong Jr. in a 3D game, and it blew my mind. I love Donkey Kong Jr. a little too much. I think it's kind of a problem, but there's also some pretty solid options. Paratroopa's in here instead of Koopa. Boo, Shy Guy. A lot of these characters being playable for the first time. Bowser looks kind of menacing in this one. It's kind of cool to see. Baby Mario was playable for the first time also, outside of Yoshi's Island, of course. And then, of course, you got the Game Boy Color characters on the bottom if you were to transfer them over. It's sad that you can't do that on like the Wii U Virtual Console or Switch Online, but I mean, it doesn't matter. 8 out of 10 roster simply because DK Jr. is here. Next up is Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Color. I just talked about him. You can see those characters on the bottom left. The dude with the bandana, he was in that Mario Tennis 64 through the transfer. But again, a lot of human characters. There's not many Mario characters. This one actually does have Wario, believe it or not. Wario, Waluigi, Bowser, DK, Yoshi, Baby Mario, and Mario, Luigi, and Peach. So no Daisy in this one, no Diddy, no Birdo, no Toad. We're just substituting those out for a bunch of human characters. A pretty substantial roster. Like, look at all these characters. The characters right below Wario, Waluigi, and Bowser are story mode exclusive, so that's why there's double of the same characters on the bottom. But I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10 just because of the vast amount of human characters you get. It's a sheer quantity, and you can maybe pick someone that kind of matches your vibe, and I kind of like the game for that. Last tennis game we'll be talking about today is Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube, and this one, oh man, do I choose this one or Golf Toadstool Tour for the better character roster? Because they're both incredible. Let's once again take a look at how hard the final 4 unlockable characters carry this roster. The default roster goes all the way up to Bowser and Bowser Jr., which is fine on its own. You get Koopa once again. Boo and Shy Guy are always really cool to have as characters. But then let's take a look at the last 4 characters. You get Fly Guy. That's my dude. I love Donkey Kong Jr. He's my favorite, but like I also have a really soft spot for my guy, Fly Guy. Dude's my man. But we also got Paratroopa, Wiggler, and of course you can't forget about the GOAT, Petey Piranha. Petey was a legend, making so many playable appearances during the GameCube era of Mario spin-off games. It was incredible to see. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. It's just a little too short for me. If we had a little bit more, like give me like 4 more characters, and this could be a 9 out of 10 character roster. But like the unlockables, once again, carrying. All right, next up is Mario Hoops 3-on-3 on the DS, and man, do I wish I can play this game. I wish this game got remastered on the Switch. It is so cool, but I'm gonna do it. This is our first 10 out of 10 character roster because I've been pretty vocal about not being the biggest fan of crossover characters in, say, Mario Kart. Like, I don't like having Link or the Animal Crossing characters or the Inklings in my Mario Kart. But this was the first time we ever had a Mario basketball game, so like all bets were off. And it was developed by Square Enix. So like they had all power to use Square Enix characters. And in my humble opinion, a lot of the designs of these Final Fantasy characters are just incredible. Like, look at Ninja, bro. Ninja has appeared, he was in the original Final Fantasy, but now he's playable in Mario Hoops, bro. Like, that dude looks sick. The Final Fantasy characters alone are incredible additions to this game, but the Mario characters they chose to add here, Fly Guy, my GOAT, is back in a Mario basketball game. That is huge. Like, that obscurity is, it brings me so much joy. Not only DK and Diddy, but Dixie Kong is here too. You got your mainstays, but like the side characters they added, it's a chef's kiss. Like, oh wow, what a perfect roster. Next up, we got Mario Sports Mix. Now, I don't know how they did it. This is a game on the Wii that came out a couple years later than on Mario Hoops 3-on-3 on the DS did. But 1, they reduced the roster, and 2, they cut a lot of my favorite characters out. Where's Boo? Where's Dixie Kong? Where's Paratroopa? Where's Fly Guy? Like, bro, they cut out so many of my favorites. And there's 4 sports, including 3-on-3 basketball. It would have been so cool to have those characters return. They added the Dragon Quest Slime. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Slime. He's adorable. I was petitioning for Slime to be the Dragon Quest rep in Smash Bros. Over Hero, but you know, we got Hero instead. I like Slime in this game. He's pretty cool, but I don't think it's enough to overpower the loss of all those super obscure and really fun characters we had in Mario Hoops 3 on 3. So this is actually going to drop a couple of points lower for me. I'm dropping this all the way down to a 7 out of 10. I still don't think it eclipses, say, the Mario Golf or Mario Tennis GameCube rosters. So it drops quite a bit simply because they lost that obscurity. They lost its charm. Slime just can't carry it all on his back. Next up is Mario Sports Superstars. I bet you all forgot about this game. I didn't. I have a whole binder sitting right there of all 90 amiibo cards. It's crazy. And 90 because we have 18 characters with 5 sports. And if you do the math, that is 90. But the 18 characters, it's such a bizarre roster. Like, just look at this. Your 2 unlockable characters being Metal Mario and Pink Gold Peach. That just goes to show how much effort they put into this game. Metal Mario, I will always be defending him. Pink Gold Peach, though, is, I was okay with her in Mario Kart 8. But like, to bring her into a game like this, it was just kind of confusing. I didn't understand it at all. Baby Mario has been in a lot of Mario sports games, but Baby Luigi shockingly has been absent from almost all of the Mario sports games. So it's cool to actually see him playable in a Mario sports games, because I think it might be the first one ever he's playable in. I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I think it's just below the sports mix roster we were just looking at. Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube, and you can see the whole roster here. On the left are all your team captains, and on the right are your sidekicks. This was the first Mario soccer game developed by Next Level Games, and I love this game. I'm so nostalgic for it. On the GameCube, it was incredible. I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 10. It's nothing crazy. It's just your mainstay characters, and then your sidekicks are kind of cool with Toad, Birdo, Koopa, and Hammer Bro. But the addition of a super team, that character in the middle, you get 4 of them on one team. Your critter, the critter who's normally the goalie, becomes like a dark robo critter, which is incredible. And all 4 characters on that super team can do the super strikes that a captain is only exclusively to do. So that's really cool, but a little basic of a roster for me, especially with like golf and tennis. And we'll get to Mario Superstar Baseball later, having such expansive rosters with such obscure characters. I love Super Team, but they can't lift this one out of the waters. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. Next up is Mario Strikers Charged on the Wii. Now, this was a huge sequel to Super Mario Strikers, and I love this game. Look at the roster, man. Again, let's take a look at the unlockable captains. I photoshopped this to see the sidekicks underneath all the captains. Then your 9 mainstays with Bowser replacing Super Team, and then your unlockables being Diddy, Junior, and Petey Piranha. But now let's take a look at the sidekicks. Of course, you got your mainstays, the Birdo, the Toad, the Koopa, and the Hammer Bro. Those are all returned. But we got 4 incredible additions for sidekicks. Dry Bones, Boo, Monty Mole, and Shy Guy. What incredible sidekick additions. And the thing about this game is you can choose all different types of sidekicks. And Strikers, you had to pick like either all 3 Hammer Bros, or all 3 Toads, or all 3 Birdos. But now you can pick a Birdo, a Koopa, a Boo, a Dry Bones. Like, you can pick different sidekicks. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. Fantastic character roster. It's short, but it's quality, man. Speaking of quality, this is not what this game is. Mario Strikers Battle League. Let's take a look at this character roster. There's a huge problem with it. There's not enough. I said in the beginning, when this game first got revealed, that, oh, there is room for 20 characters. They announced 10 in the trailer. Let's add 10 more. Not only did they only release the game with those 10 characters from Mario all the way up to Waluigi, but then they added little seasonal drops of 2 characters every couple of months. Like the first 2 months, we got Daisy and Shy Guy. Daisy wasn't even a launch character. We got Pauline and Diddy Kong later, which admittedly, Pauline's really cool. So glad she's in. And also Diddy Kong returning to Strikers is also cool. And then we got Junior and Birdo later on. Birdo and Shy Guy and Toad making their first appearances as captains. I feel like they could have added more characters. Pauline can't carry this roster on her back in terms of the obscure characters that we needed. This is a 5 out of 10 roster for me. Like, it could be better, but it also could be worse. There's worse rosters out there. Mario Superstar Baseball, the one that came out on the GameCube. Look at this roster. It's just incredible. You got your captains, Mario, Luigi, DK, Diddy, Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, Bowser, Wario, Waluigi, and then Birdo and Junior below. But look at all the side characters you can pick to have on your team. Petey Piranha, King Boo, Toadette, Boo, Toad. You got the Nokis and the Piantas from Sunshine. Shy Guys in here, the Hammer Bro, which you can change their colors to be Boomerang Bro or Fire Bro. Dixie Kong is here. Dry Bones is here, which has a red Dark Bones variant, and that is super cool. Toadsworth, Monty Mole. Again, it's a baseball game, so it's kind of overpowered, but I would be lying if I said this wasn't a 10 out of 10 roster. I love this roster every time. I know it gets overpowered by the next game we're going to talk about, but like, let's be honest, looking at this game, seeing almost 50 characters, this was amazing for a GameCube game. But of course, we had to do it. We had to save, you guys know, the best character roster in any Mario sports game ever. We had to save it for last. More characters than any other Mario sports game we have talked about today. The game with the best roster, already a 10 out of 10 in my book, Mario Super Sluggers. It's not even a surprise, and I doubt any of you guys are surprised either. Like, look at this roster. The obscurity, just on the DK team alone. Funky Kong, Tiny Kong, Baby DK, who has only made an appearance once before in Yoshi's Island DS. The Critters from Mario Strikers, and King K. Rool, who after this didn't become playable until Smash Ultimate. That DK team alone carries this roster. But we also got some standouts. Petey Piranha will always be my GOAT. The Hammer Bros are always cool to see. Wiggler has made it into a Mario baseball game. Yoshi in this game, unlike on the GameCube baseball game, can change his colors. You have light blue, red, blue, yellow, pink, like all the colors of Yoshi imaginable. It's going to be so hard to pick a Mario sports game in the future unless they re-release or make another Mario baseball game that has a roster as incredible as this one is. It's admittedly a little bit outdated. There's no Rosalina. There's no Pauline. There's no newer enemies like Spike in here. It's a little bit outdated. I completely understand, but you gotta admit, it's just such a quality roster with incredible characters, and it's a 10 out of 10 in my book. So that leaves it, guys. This is the list of character rosters. I didn't rank anything a 1 out of 10. I didn't want to be super harsh, but like, look at this. So many character rosters. It's incredible. What is your favorite Mario sports game? And also, what is your favorite roster out of the ones given? Again, it doesn't have to be a roster with the most characters, even though Mario Super Sluggers does clear, but like, what are some underrated rosters? Rosters you think deserve more love? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my members. You guys are so supportive. It blows my mind away. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. But also thank you to all of you guys who are watching. This was a fun video to make. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you are new, stay all pro. Now out of here.